The second match, of course, Marcus Alexander Bagwell and the tailor-made man. Terry Taylor coming out with what I would call a gimmick infringement.
Yeah, in that it's a very off-the-peg suit.
It's $1 Million Man's $1 Million suit, isn't it? The black with the gold. He comes out. The worst thing about it is Terry Taylor's, he obviously nicked it. It's obviously a rip-off. He looks cheap.
It does
to the
look
$1 Million
terrible,
Man's ones.
yeah.
It's so, it could not be
Yeah.
more. I'm the dollar man. The dollar man.
The dollar star man.
Hey, I'm the dollar store man who wants plastic flowers. The ring announcement is done by the winner of the ring announcer contest, Barry Abrams from Syracuse University.
I like it.
The crowd boo him. I love it. Absolutely. The only thing they really
You
boo.
lucky bastard.
He's perfectly good at this. As they pull back, they reveal he's just wearing shorts,
Right,
which
okay.
I presume are his sort of like university basketball team. That'd be the sort of thing that a student might do. This sort of thing, opening up to the fans, always made WCW look cheap because WWE would never have put a student in the ring to do a ring announcement. It just would not happen.
No, it's like they used to have someone who'd won the sweepstakes or something. Yeah,
It's slightly like zoos, isn't it? Like London Zoo, you'd never have someone go, you get to go in the enclosure.
Yeah, exactly.
Bad zoos, they're like, in you go, in you go.
Structure's tiger.
Yep. You know, everyone says, you know, they're dangerous, but they're not. You know, you get to, I don't know, put a fucking saddle on a great white, that sort of thing. And that's slightly that thing of WCW here, where they're bringing in people who aren't professional into the ring. It's I like it. I think it's sweet and it's nice, but it does feel old-fashioned wrestling.
Yeah,
you know?
fits the time.
And Marcus Alexander Bagwell, out he comes. Absolutely one of my all-time least favourite wrestlers.
Yeah.
He is appalling. They go on and on about how handsome he is. He has a real whiff of the Chippendale about him.
Right, yeah.
Wearing tight white trunks, which I would describe as all bum and nut.
Yeah.
He's just groiny and like, you know, it just... Terry Taylor is also really good. He is a man destroyed by one gimmick, the power of a gimmick. He was the Red Rooster in WWF. He could never, ever break away from that. At one point, the crowd in this began chanting Rooster.
Right.
That was 3 years ago. 3 years ago, they're still doing it. Marcus Bagwell, it's a typical WCW match in that you expect nothing from this.
Yeah.
And it's actually entirely watchable and really good for what it is. Taylor has a bit right at the end where he sort of complains that he wasn't pinned for a 3 count, but he is. And he gets to lay out Marcus Bagwell with his finishing move like, had I not been counted down then, I would have won. You know, just keeping everyone strong. Marcus Bagwell, a quick potted history of him. We will incredibly be seeing him over the next 10 years because he remained with WCW throughout his career. He joined them when he was 18 and he won the organisation's tag team titles multiple times with partners like Too Cold Scorpio, The Patriot, Scotty Riggs and Shane Douglas. He's best described as being a marginal star. He spent most of the 90s just, you know, you thought he was going to disappear at some point. And then he turned heel in 1996 and joined the NWO. And everyone joined the NWO at some point.
I said that exact same thing over the weekend. So everyone was in the NWO.
Everyone was in it. It started off, it got so successful, it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and everyone ends up in it. But what it does is it unlocks a side of him that I think was probably closer to what he was really like in real life,
right,
where he became this cocky, braggadocious sort of, you know, a guy who was not as good as he thought he was.
Right, yeah.
Someone made this sort of thing of saying what he seemed like is one of those Jersey Shore guys who was all tan and all about how good he looked, and he thought he was, which later became his nickname, the Stuff. Buff the Stuff. It was all about posing and all about how the ladies wanted to have sex with him, and he forgot in some ways that he was also a wrestler. He got his neck broken during a match with Rick Steiner. He took a bulldog off the top rope, and it looked like it was beyond career ending. There was he could have died. Miraculously, out of all the people in wrestling who have suffered career-ending injuries, Marcus Bagwell is the one who makes a full recovery. He comes back. The first angle they do with him sees him turn on Rick Steiner. Typical WCW rushing everything. He was a natural-born babyface coming back from this career-ending injury. And instead they immediately go, he's a rule breaker again. And he was later in 2000 suspended for assaulting a backstage employee. I think gave someone a smack because he thought they were looking at him in a funny way. That sort of guy. He's part of one of the worst matches of all time, which was called Judy Bagwell on a forklift match. His mum was kidnapped by another wrestler called Canyon, and she was tied to a forklift. and he had to win to get her off.
Mark, I think you've confused the word terrible with brilliant.
What an awful decision. Judy Bagwell cheated out of the opportunity of a lifetime to beat Chris Canyon's Kimberly. This is a sad moment, Tony and Scott.
I think it's a moment of relief for the Bagwell family.
When WCW was bought by WWE, the very first decision that they made was they would run WCW parallel with WWF. And it would be like warring factions. And they could really do this invasion. And they gave over the last, I think, half hour of Raw to WCW. And it opened the very, very first WCW with a match between Booker T and Buff Bagwell. Right. And it was so bad that after the match, Vince scrapped the entire thing of keeping WCW alive, and he decided to can it. On the WWE website, that match is called the most awkward match ever. It's bad, but it's hard to quite put your finger on why it was so bad. Part of it was WWF fans have been told for years that WCW was an inferior product.
Yeah, and then why put it in the middle of your...
Then they put it on. And so they react to it going, this is crap and those people are shit and we hate them.
Yeah.
You know, and Vince McMahon was like, they are. Bagwell was fired by the WWE in 2001. He had only 2 TV appearances. He had a poor backstage attitude, they said, and he had a bad work ethic. He'd also had a run-in with a hurricane backstage. Some people said that he was actually sacked because his mum kept ringing up the WWF to ask if he could have time off work. But he denies that. He says the WWE never explained to him why he was fired. They just told him to leave. He did a little bit of wrestling on the independent circuit, not very much. And in 2014, he began working as a male escort for Cowboys for Angels, providing escorts who offer companionship. It later became a show called Gigolos. I think it ran on Showtime.
Right.
Where they continually had to over-explain bits to get around the fact that the county, I think where it took place in, which was Georgia, had anti-prostitution laws. The company did, however, charge for Bagwell services $800 for 2 hours, $1,500 for 4 hours, $3,000 for an overnight visit, and weekends $8,000. You could have a full week with Marcus Alexander Bagwell for £25,000.
Lordy, that's a chunk of change, isn't it?
It would be worth hiring him, getting to loads of work and autograph sessions.
Yeah,
you can make your money back,
and just like DIY and stuff.
Yeah,
and he'd never be able to sleep because I hired him.
Could you stay awake, you lazy slug?
Could you keep him like awake if you were hired a male escort? Could you sort of keep
anything
him
goes? I'm sure it says on that thing, you know, we're broad-minded and everything. You go, well, you better be broad-minded because I'm going to keep him awake for 7 days. He is not going to go to sleep, and he's going to work every single minute of it. I'm going to drive him down to the B&Q on Haringey Green Ladders, and we are going to wait for someone to pick him up to do work in the morning while I work out what he's going to do when he comes back.
Do you remember hearing about Marcus appearing on a show called Gigolos?
I do. Well, I was like, what the f***? Get the f*** out of here. How the f*** he gonna get on the Gigolos and he got a dick about this big?
Harley Race then gives a little promo as well. He looks very much like a lot of the butchers you used to see in like Leeds City Market.
Coach driver to Carlton Camp, as I said on Twitter when I was a bit drunk. He looks like a coach driver. Because coach drivers always have tattoos, and it's never made clear. Bus drivers always have tattoos. Short sleeve tattoos, never understood why.
Yeah. And they also often have kinky hair.
Yes.
He's got that very sort of kinky, sort of like wave of curls.
He looks like an old Newcastle United footballer who's doing like a post-match kind of chat in a pub.
He looks like one who is doing a local paper thing about how he's turning around the pub that he's just taken over. That, you know, I'm going to kick out everyone who gives it fucking that. Apologies.
I had 0 blood in my penis. 0 blood. I'm like, what do I do? So I just got real close up to her and acted like we were having sex. Well, when the whole thing got done shooting, I'm down at the bar in Vegas with the guy that's paying us, and I said, bro, I go, I'm so sorry, I couldn't have sex with the lady. He goes, you're not supposed to. And I go, what? I go, well, nobody told me, bro. It's sad.